Hi everyone, this is your favorite friend Jay or Jaylan Salah as you formerly know her, film critic at JayDays Nation in Session Film and Keith Loves Movies. So today I have a special guest coming here on my JayDays channel with me. I have Christopher Kulik, or as we all know him, Stone Gassman. He's like one of our great cinephile friends. He has like this amazing YouTube channel and he's very active as a cinephile. You can see him every time. Like celebrities retweet him all the time, and also all the cinephile geeks that I know. I'm just so happy to talk to you today, Christopher, and very nice to meet you finally.
Wonderful to meet you finally as well. And yeah, I don't know why I have such a big Twitter following because I mean I know we don't call it Twitter anymore. I'm not going to refer to it by its name now, but I mean, that could end at any time, and then I don't, yeah. I mean, I've had some interesting interactions with celebrities and everything. I mean, had a retweet from Jennifer Tilly a few weeks ago. That's always cool. I mean, but yeah, and yeah, I'm just a guy who loves movies. I've loved movies all my life, and especially love doing audio commentaries on my YouTube channel. But I'm not sure. I don't remember which one of us was the one that suggested Colossal, but it might have been through just a conversation we were having about Anne Hathaway, possibly.
Definitely.
But yeah, because I saw Colossal in 2016. Remember enjoying it immensely, but I had not thought about it since then. I had rented it, saw it, moved on. That was it. And it was actually until very recently in a conversation we had where it came up. I was thinking, I gotta check that out. I gotta check out that movie again. So I ended up because it's not streaming anywhere, sadly.
No.
Well, I mean, you can rent it at YouTube. There are a couple places you can go, but
Hmm.
I ended up just picking up a Blu-ray right there.
Yes. Oh la la.
Ooh la la, yeah, and I'm happy that I mean there's no bonus features or anything. There's no commentary. It's just a deleted scene, which I could talk about later. But I had to revisit this, and I'm so happy I did because it's it's a tight it's a really good combination of several genres, and how this is kind of like the writer and director's tribute to kaiju, if I hope I pronounced that properly. I didn't grow up with a lot of Godzilla movies, but the funny thing is that the actor who plays Anne Hathaway's ex-boyfriend was just in Godzilla versus Kong.
Dan Stevens, right? He's a big shot
Yeah,
now.
yeah, Dan Stevens.
He's
Yeah.
all the kids love him now. I feel like wow, when I saw the movie, it didn't even occur to me he'd be that famous. He was in, I think, in Abigail. He was in a lot of movies recently. So like, what? Even Cuckoo starring Hunter Shepard. So I mean, wow. Now he's so big. Who
And
thought?
he's in theaters right now. He's in theaters right
Uh-huh.
now with Cuckoo. Yeah. And I just, okay. I checked this out largely because of Anne Hathaway, because I've been an Anne Hathaway fan since Princess Diaries. I'm not going to
Same,
lie.
same.
I'm not going
Mm.
to lie. There's been a few movies she's made I didn't care for, but for the most part, I've loved almost everything that she's done, particularly before Colossal. She did a movie called Love and Other Drugs
Yes.
with Jake Gyllenhaal. I've been in love with that movie since it came out. So I saw Colossal, I think, largely because of Anne Hathaway. Upon rewatching it, I was able to appreciate Jason Sudeikis
He's brilliant
on
in it.
a whole new level. Yeah, this is not a Jason Sudeikis that I'm used to. This is not the We're the Millers, Jason Sudeikis. No, 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 no. This guy, oh my God. Yeah, yeah. There are times when he can come off like a bully without, almost making a gesture or even a flick of the finger or something like that. And he could also come off as charming and laid back in a few scenes. And I'm glad that he's not pushed into being like a romantic lead here in any way, but he's just, he plays this. Should we tell everybody what the plot is of Colossal, actually?
Definitely. I'll just throw in something very subtle. I love Colossal because I think it's more of a monster movie, but it's also a commentary on addiction in a way. For me, it was like something that
Yes.
I totally got. it was very relatable because it's like the monster within, but does your monster manifest sometimes to hurt others? It's like a sci-fi kind of like black comedy. It started Annie Hathaway, Jason Sudeikis, Dan Stevens, of course, who is now famous, and it's about this woman who is an alcoholic, although they don't say it explicitly, and it's so brilliant of them because it could
Yes.
apply to anything. It could even apply to mental health. It could apply to all forms of other addictions, really, just your psyche going off to dark places and stuff like that, and how untreated or undiagnosed trauma could be your inner monster. She suddenly realizes she's a monster manifested in soul, and that monster is like chaotically stomping on everything and getting out of control, and how she interacts with that. But then we have another twist, which I would like you, Chris, to reveal it to our viewers.
Uh, reveal the twist.
Yes. So we have her and her monster. But how about Jason Sudeikis, Oscar?
We have him and his robot. And the deleted scene that I alluded to is actually a deleted scene where we discover that each of the monsters, the monster and the robot, are their childhood toys, these life-size dolls and everything. But yeah, it's really the writer and director's tribute to kaiju through that. I mean, did I did I reveal the twist okay?
Definitely, definitely. It's kind of fun. I think it's great the idea that we show how it's different. He has his robot
Yes.
monster and she has her monster, but how we interact with our monsters differs through this film. Like the way he
Right.
makes each one of them represent or even deal with the monster outside finally. This is what makes the core of Colossal. And I think also the director Nacho Vigalondo, whom I seriously think is great, but I haven't seen a lot of his work. He said that he wrote this from a personal story that I've been hunting. Like, what were you writing about? Like, were you like an alcoholic in the past or something? I didn't even know. But it feels like he was doing a tribute to kaiju, but at the same time, he was doing tribute to Nacho. He was doing something very personal that touches on a personal pain.
Mm.
So, do you know something about this, Chris? Because I've been hunting the real story. Like, what is he writing about? I can't find it anywhere.
I honestly don't know. I
Right?
don't know. I didn't.
It's
I
such a
wasn't able to dip
mystery.
that far. But but it feels like it would make sense.
Definitely. Definitely. It's such a personal film, although it's done from a monster
Hmm.
perspective. What I like about this film, I think, first of all, Anne Hathaway. Anne Hathaway is a brilliant actress whose
Brilliant.
career, unfortunately, was kind of like troubled. And you would be surprised because the bullying she got was because she's a nice celebrity, and this makes me laugh so hard. Like she's not even one of those troublemaker, brilliant celebrities. She's a theater kid. She's a very like just a genuine, kind person, and apparently people didn't like that in the past. So that kind of halted her career until she had a revival with Chris Nolan for Interstellar. She talked about it even a lot. So when you see her choices going against type, against her beauty, because she's a very, very beautiful woman. And
Mm.
seriously, and this is what would draw you to her in the beginning, because when you see something like The Princess Diaries, you're like, okay, this is a beautiful. And for me, there was also a movie called Ella Enchanted. This was the one that made me fall in love with
Yes.
her because it was a delight. And she looked like a
Yes.
Disney princess, and it's like, what is this? How can she be real? And then you have her Devil Wears Prada days and all that. So you have all of that. And then you have her going doing Rachel getting married. And then you have her doing Love and Other Drugs.
Yes.
And then you have her doing this, where she's basically an alcoholic all the time with smidged mascara, always looking weird, always, like in a haze, in a stupor, like hungover, not knowing what is going on. So she's not really focusing. She's not really appealing. You could feel, like the alcohol breath of her. So it's just amazing that she would
Yes.
just be doing this film. And at the same time, the Jason Sudeikis character was a surprise to me because in the beginning, I knew something was off about him, but I didn't know how. So, how do you think the director really made the contradiction or the contrast between both of their characters? Like, she's a mess. She's this messy woman trope. She's always going to go to places. And he's a guy, he has a bar, but you can feel him being mean to his friends. You can feel him having this grudge against the world, but you can't put your hands
Yeah.
on what's wrong with this dude. So, How do you think he really knew how to show them and show the like the juxtaposition between them?
Well, I think the juxtaposition can definitely be seen in how they live. Like she sleeps on an air mattress and then she complains it's deflated. And then she gets a futon, which she thinks is like the most comfortable thing in the world. You know, you know, and then you see his place, which is dank and cluttered and so probably a smell or two somewhere among there. I mean, at least at Anne Hathaway's place, it's brightly lit and clean and everything.
So true.
But you can definitely see all that. I mean, with Jason Sudeikis's character, I mean, here again, I mean, very, very surprising how he juggled these different tones and how his character became manifested basically into something very complex. I mean, we get little tidbits along the way that there was some kind of childhood incident which kind of sparked this whole thing. I'm not going to give that part away, and that's also kind of revealed in the deleted scene on the Blu-ray. But yeah, I mean, and so Jason Sudeikis, I mean, the fact that he the decisions that he makes, you can see where they're coming from, and you can see what is driving him, motivating him, even when he can come off like a total dick at times. Like, he's
Very much.
oh man. I mean, there are times when you truly do want to slap him, as she does several times in the movie. And and then of course he's like, whatever, just sit down and have a beer. It's like, no, no, no. And I'm glad also the writer and director Nacho did not make it a repetitive thing with the alcohol in showing, like, there's only two spots I remember where he focuses on a beer bottle for say 5-6 seconds,
Yes.
and then the rest of the movie, there are beer bottles, but they're like, hidden in the corners. You almost have to look for them. He doesn't beat you over the head with the beer bottle
He
when it
doesn't focus
comes
to be
to
this way. Yes.
this looking at alcoholism, and that's something I have really applauded him for, absolutely. But I just all the performances are great. I mean, Tim Blake Nelson from Oh Brother Where Art Thou, the director of he's still doing stuff. I mean, and the writer director's new movie, I just looked this up. His new movie comes out next month.
Wow.
It's been
Seriously.
like 7 years, and he's finally coming back with a new one about lucid dreams, something like that. It's a Spanish film, but
I think
yeah,
it's great. I think it's great. He like blends genres like he's a pro and he's a dreamer. You could tell. Like you always
mhm,
love a director like that who would take you to places unexpected and you wouldn't know. But at the same time, when you think about it, like Annie's so brave because she kind of like went into this, I think it's low budget. I think it's a really small project compared to things that she would have been. So the idea that she's that adventurer, it's just like I don't know, it feels very brave and daring to me. Like the idea that I think Nacho was not that known, at least in Hollywood and stuff. So he's this daring, brave, like experimental in a way Spanish director, and she's out
mhm,
there doing this film with him. I like it when actors do that, when they seek the projects that they feel would take them to different places. They wouldn't just conform to, like the system and stuff like that. So I love that about her. And I also love, there's a lot of things. I remember seeing this film in 2017, and
mhm,
I was kind of going through a rough time of my own. So the idea that when she was just, the monster was mimicking her, or they were just doing the same, I think I almost cried because so, it was so intense and so wonderful. The idea that you could have a part of you come off and just taunt you like that, or just be like you like that. And how can you control the monster, or how can you put it back
mhm.
inside? So I don't know. I think it just stuck with me so much. And I remember back then I didn't have a lot of international cinephile friends. So I was looking for anyone just to talk about it. Like, hey, did you see Colossal? What? Did you see Colossal? What? And it was so isolating and boring. So I'm glad finally that I get to talk about it, because when I rewatched it now, it just feels as fresh. It feels like it hasn't changed. Like you don't feel like it grew older. It grew kind of, no, there is a lot there. There's a lot to take from it. There's a lot of interesting stuff. There's a lot of great pace. So I don't know. I think it's really great after a rewatch too.
It's original and timeless, and that's a very rare bird. And well, and the thing is that I think that that there's not a ounce of Hollywood in this movie. I mean, I love those
That
shots of her sitting in like the local playground. All that did was bring up memories of local playgrounds when I was growing up. I mean, way far away from California and everything. But I mean, that's the thing, is that I think that the director's outsiderness really adds to that, though. And I do love the fact that, however, that that there were four countries that had producers on this thing, and they managed to piss off one country, which was Japan, because Toho got all piffy about, like, I'm sorry, I do not see Godzilla in her monster.
at all.
Okay, I don't see it.
Neither do I. I
And
don't.
just because the director made some kind of weird comment, they ended up suing the production company over Colossal. And like, the sad thing is that Colossal bombed. It bombed big time. It only made like 4.5 million on a $20 million budget.
But it makes sense, right? A movie like that, especially back then when you didn't have like, I think
Yes.
now the power of social media can sometimes turn a very good film into like a following, and people would just
Yes.
encourage each other. Like, imagine Long Legs or even Cuckoo. Back then, I think they would flop because now you tell your cinephile friends and you tell your film Twitter friends and you tell everyone, and they just go and watch and go and watch, and things get, like regenerated. But back then, if you watch the film even in the movie theater, where would you do that? It didn't have that power. Now they rely, even the
Yes.
studios, they rely on the marketing, they rely on the publicity a lot. So it kind of makes sense. It's sad, but it makes sense that a rare gem like that would go unnoticed for
Mhm.
most part.
But I am a champion of the obscure. And the thing is that, because I'm so glad that I wanted to talk about Colossal, because because it feels like it's not talked about, and we need to fill that void. We really do need to fill that void and have a Colossal conversation. So yeah, but I just wish the Blu-ray had at least like a director's commentary. I mean, that's all I wish. I mean, but I mean, I guess he felt I said everything I had to say. I don't need to say anything, but that's fine.
But isn't like every single Blu-ray that came in the past have a director's commentary? I don't have a lot, but I mean, I think this is going, like, this is supposed to be like now an instinct um phenomenon or something. Like, I don't feel like there are more director's commentary, although when you think about it, this is one of the most revelatory experiences. Like when you watch a film and you hear the director telling you stuff, even the weird, like I think I heard Abel Ferreira just saying whatever about a film of his, and it was just so funny. But at the same
Right.
time, you sometimes come up with things that I like. I have one of my friends, Kristen from the Therefore Review. She's also the Women in Session podcast host. She is obsessed. Whenever she loves a film, she has to see the director's commentary. So
Yes.
do you think it's going out of style? What is going on with the world? Like, why?
I mean, I have friends who believe that physical media will disappear in 2 years, which is a
Oh,
very sad reality. And that's the thing, is that I just do commentaries on my channel because I like doing commentaries.
I was just gonna ask you, why do you do that?
Because I mean, I've loved listening to commentaries ever since I listened to the first one for Supergirl back in 2000, when Anchor Bay put out a limited edition of that and everything. It made me appreciate the movie more, listening to the commentary. So I sort of became I sort of became addicted to commentaries at that point. Some of my favorite ones are like on used cars and like Joe Dante movies, that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, and I understand. I mean, I don't, I want to check out Nacho's other films. I mean, I just wish that there was just more to the Blu-ray than just a digital code. But I mean, not every movie can have a commentary.
That's
So
so true. Yeah,
yeah,
that's true. But
and
then
I like doing. Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
then definitely you like doing, tell me. Come on.
Well,
Continue.
I especially like doing commentaries on movies that don't have commentaries.
That's that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
Here
But
again, fill in a void. Yeah.
ooh la la. Okay.
Oh.
Well, so we are trying to save cinema by talking about films that are forgotten, by trying to put our input. Because for me, sometimes I feel like people think this is an exaggeration or something, but I feel like we're trying to be archiving film because I feel like they're trying to steal film from us. They're trying to make certain movies disappear. There are movies now that you cannot find at all streaming, and if you don't happen to have like here, Colossal, if you don't you can rent it on YouTube or whatever, but sometimes you can't even rent it anywhere. So if you don't have a physical copy of that film, you're unlucky. And now I think the physical copies are even going scarce. So you might not find a physical copy for a film, or it's streaming, or you can rent it online. So what happens? So I think what we are doing is trying to keep an archive of everything we've seen and we've interacted with and we felt touched at on some point. Also, it's so hard to find the rarer movies like the just the foreign ones, the forgotten ones, the really old ones, ones that were like in the 90s, things that really affected you or something, and you feel like it's going away and you're losing it. So it kind of scares me. So we do whatever we try to do. We just talk about films. We put the spotlight on something, on the director. You do audio commentaries. We write about them. We do whatever. And I feel like through your Twitter, you always also try to bring up films because you even recommended like some really cool films for me. And I can't wait to watch them so that I discuss them with you again. So yeah, I feel like what we're doing matters, and I really think we should keep doing it because I feel like, oh, we can't take this lightly. You never know when poof, something will
Exactly.
disappear out of thin air. Okay, so just the idea of seeing our favorite Anne Hathaway in this role, and the idea of how different both characters are.
Hmm.
What drew you to this idea? Like, what drew you, okay, apart from Anne Hathaway, what drew you to this narrative, to this plot, to this idea of having a monster inside you and then manifesting? Because I think we've all have our invisible monsters in a way, but the idea of what if one day I wake up and it's there in my face, taunting me in a way and causing mayhem on others? And what if it's not, in soul? And what if it's not a monster, but actually my habit or whatever going out of control and letting me lose everything or just chaotically destroying whatever world is left?
I mean, it's a fascinating aspect. I mean that the monsters sort of come about out of our our addictions or our issues or our dilemmas or anything that may be fueled by any number of emotions. And I mean, it is very fascinating in I think more that aspect than the actual alcoholism. That I mean, not to say, I mean, I think this movie could probably be a useful tool for like meetings and stuff like that. But at the same time, I like that there's something deeper and psychological with it as well, in how these creatures can represent the worst of us. And at the same time, we got to remember that we need to control those excesses because people might get hurt, people might die, and it's very, very scary. But yeah, I mean, it's very, very powerful stuff. And like I said, I've not seen that in any other movie of this type before, particularly of dramas dealing with addiction or other. You think of like the movie of the week of oh, she's struggling with the pills and like no, 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 no.
Yeah.
Maybe think of what Jesse Spano and Saved by the Bell when she gets addicted to those pills. No, no. No, and it's just very, very smart, intelligent filmmaking all around. Yeah, I mean, I love what the writer and director was able to do with those pivotal characters and their creature alter egos, you could say. Yeah, it's
Definitely.
very, yeah.
And I just love the idea of her having like going on with the monster. Like I really like the scenes where she was just doing something, and I love also the idea of the nervous tick. Like this as a neurodivergent person, I have ticks. So the idea that it's there and it's something that he is using for particular stuff in the movie, I thought it was actually a tool of empowerment. of sorts, because you're usually trying to work against a tick, or like wish people wouldn't, but he actually put it in your face so that the poster itself was the monster and her kind of like recreating the tick for people. So I thought it was a badass move, in my opinion, and I really loved him for it. So definitely we gotta hunt this guy down. How can we interview him? Now I want to know everything about this film. We gotta get Nacho at some point.
We got to get Nacho. Well, I was going to say there is a black comedy element in this movie as well. I mean,
Oh,
I don't know why, but like some of the signals that she did, which it made me think of like what you have to do in front of traffic cops if you get stopped by DUIs. No, I'm
exactly.
serious.
You're right.
I don't know if that was intentional,
But it
but
would
it
be
did make me.
brilliant.
It did make me think that, but I also like it here again, the playground setting. It's just, oh, these kids are just playing on the playground, and they're getting rough and everything. They're playing their playground games, that sort of thing. There is a black comedy streak in the movie, which is just delicious as well.
And I
Yeah.
think it's kind of also, I think, touches on the cruelty of childhood in a way, or just how sometimes and it does it really brilliantly too. Like, what if these kids who are playing on the playground are suffering or are bullied or are facing kind of like traumas, and we, the adults, know nothing about them. So I thought it was
No,
also,
nothing.
and we just don't care, we don't intervene, we don't try to save these kids, or just listen to them, listen
Yeah.
to what they're going through. And look at now, these buried monsters, these toys manifested into their biggest fears and their biggest monsters. So it was just so brilliant of him to do this too. So I don't know, I think it's a very layered film, and at the same time being enjoyable, and this is something difficult to accomplish. So if you're a film aficionado or whatever, just watch it. You gotta tell us what you think, because we think it's just awesome, and we really think it's worth watching, and it deserves to be spread and talked about even more. So
Absolutely. And I fully recommend everybody picks up the Blu-ray before they're gone forever. You get the Blu-ray, the DVD, and a digital code. Give them away as gifts. Yeah,
perfect.
yeah. Spread the word about Colossal. That's what I say.
Spread the
Yeah.
word. So Christopher, or Chris,
Yes.
what are you working on right now? Because I know you're like very active all the time. What are you brewing? What are you preparing?
Well, I just started a new job, so I've been putting all my energy into that. However, I already have them scheduled. Next Sunday night on my channel, Stone Gasman on YouTube, I will be doing an 50th anniversary audio commentary for Gone in 60 Seconds.
Love this
Not the
film.
Nicolas Cage one, but the original
I
film,
love
which
this one
has
more.
like this 40-minute long car chase.
It's the best.
Really?
I love it.
and and then the Sunday after that, I will be doing Doc Hollywood with Michael J. Fox.
Oh la la. Okay.
Ooh la
Wow.
la, yes, yeah. Mhm.
Okay, that's awesome. But I've seen the original Gone in 60 Seconds, and I've seen the Nicolas Cage one. This is why I feel like, ooh, aren't you trying to do like a comparison between them? Because I feel like they're completely different demons in their
Oh,
own
I
way.
will be doing a comparison.
You have to,
I
because
will
it's
be
just so,
comparing
yeah,
the two.
okay, I'll be tuning in because I want to know what you have to say.
Awesome, awesome, yeah. Oh, and finally, last but not least, on Visited by Voices, I do a podcast there called Region Free, and I do a show of my own called 60 Minutes of Stone.
Tone.
So, yeah, just to throw that out there too. I just did a video on the Psycho ranking, and before that, did a video on Cat Shay's movies. And the next one I'm going to do, which won't be out until next month, but I do want to take a closer look at the movies of Oz Perkins, who just wrote and directed Longlegs.
Wow, this
So
is amazing. Wow, now this is so cool and so relevant. Wow, so wow, Chris, you have it all stacked. We have to come here again to talk about something else, like Dangerous Beauty, for example, which I'm going to watch. And just
yes,
we have to have our Dangerous Beauty episode on the JayDays. Stay tuned, everyone. Thank you so much, Chris. This was so much fun.
this was unbelievably fun. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. Bye bye.